Okay, so we are going to talk about factoring. Potentially, eventually, we're going to be looking at factoring trinomials, okay? But first, you have to understand how to factor a four-term polynomial. If you think about it, right now, you know how to factor a binomial, right?
Yeah.
A binomial might be something like, 3x to the 10th plus 12x cubed, and you'd factor out the greatest common factor, right?
3x
So you'd have
cubed
3x cubed, parentheses, x to the 10 minus 3 is 7, plus 4, right? So that's an example of factoring a binomial, right? Two terms, 1, 2. And then you know how, another example of a binomial would be x squared minus 100, right? In this case, it's the difference of two perfect squares. So it would be x plus 10 times x minus 10, right? X plus 10 times x minus 10. You guys all know this really well, right? And then you know how to factor a trinomial when there is nothing in front of the x squared, right? So you have, so this was one example, this was 2, then a trinomial, x squared plus 8x plus 15, right? Factors of 15 that add to 8, right? So it'd be x plus 3 times x plus 5, okay? So what we're moving towards is, what if this number here is not a hidden 1, but is a totally different number, like 2,
12.
or 3, or 12, or 22,
97.
right? Then suddenly they become rather challenging to figure out, right? And so we're going to look at, I'm going to teach you a trick. There's my alarm. I don't know why that's going off in the middle of my lecture, but that's okay.
Oh, sounds great.
So, okay. So we are going to look. I'm going to erase. Can I erase this stuff? No? So you guys know this stuff, right? So we're now, so you know two terms, three terms. Now we're going to look at factoring a four-term polynomial. Okay? You don't, remember they go monomials, binomials, trinomials, anything bigger than a trinomial, usually they call a polynomial. Some people have said quadrinomial, but I don't hear that very often. Yes?
Isn't it still three terms though, because terms are separated by an addition and subtraction sign?
Yes, this is three terms. Boom, boom, boom. And
yeah,
then,
then if you added a number in front
yes,
of
it would still be three
it
terms.
would still be,
But before I get to that, I want to teach you factoring four terms, okay?
so yeah.
So, four terms, an example of four terms. Okay, so four terms. We've got 2x cubed plus 8x squared plus 3x plus 12. When you have, so I'll let you write it down.
This is a polynomial?
This is a four-term polynomial.
Gary, is that 8x?
Yes.
Oh,
Sal, are you?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
You're going to say how to do it.
yeah,
You're going to say how to do it. I know you guys know how to do it because you guys have already learned this.
Are you
Right?
doing this?
So,
oh, it's just adding it. Okay, I get it now. I was really confused for a second. It's just like adding it. Another.
Oh, no.
well, yeah, but they're not, none of them are like terms, right? None of them are like terms. So I can't simplify, I can't do, this is an x cubed, this is an x squared, that's an x, and that's a nothing, right? I mean, that's just a constant.
That's just a nothing.
It's just a nothing, 12 nothings, right? So, when you have four terms, always factor by grouping. So this is actually called, I'm going to erase this now. This is called factoring by grouping, okay? That's the thing that you always try. Factor
No, that's
by grouping. Just, yeah, give me a second on the Gary's Terrific Check. That's part 2 of the lecture, okay? So, so what I'm going to do is I am going to group them in groups of 2. So I'm going to merely draw a parenthesis around this group of 2, and then I'm going to draw a parenthesis around this group of 2, but I'm not putting it to the left of the sign. I'm putting it to the right of the sign. Because if I put it to the left of it, it would be multiply, right? It would be a binomial times a binomial. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's a plus this. So I haven't changed the value of this equation at all, or this, not equation, this expression, this polynomial, by just putting the parentheses. Haven't changed anything. Because that's not being multiplied times anything. But by putting the parentheses, I've decided that I have a group here. And I'm going to try to factor out the greatest common factor. So greatest common factor between 2 and 8 is what?
2x squared.
Okay, 2, and then the x with a smaller exponent, 2x
Is that
squared.
an X or a Y?
It's an x.
Sorry,
It's a Y.
that's an x. Okay, so 2x squared. 2 goes into both of these, and x squared goes into both of these.
How come x
So,
is so weird?
What I'm going to have left over is the 2's cancel out. X, 3 minus 2 is just x to the 1, or just x.
Minus 4.
Plus
Plus
4.
4, exactly. Okay, now I've got a plus sign. I bring that plus sign down.
And then, but what about the extra?
What extra? This? Well, that x squared, I'm dividing x squared by x squared is just 1.
The cube.
Here? Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1.
I know, but what about the cube? There's x.
X cubed divided by x squared is x to the 3 minus 2, which is x to the 1.
Which is just x.
Right? X squared times x is x cubed. Right? All right, so I'm doing the same thing over here. What's my greatest common factor here?
3.
3, parenthesis, I have x plus 4.
Oh, look.
What do you notice? What do you notice?
The parentheses are both the same.
The blobs are the
Oh my
same.
god.
Right? These are the blobs. Look, x plus 4 and x plus 4. So, I can keep going. I can factor out the greatest common factor out of this thing now. Right? So that's what I'm doing. All I'm doing is factor out the greatest common factor. What is common to this term? This is a term right here. This is just one term. Because remember, terms are separated by plus signs, right? So I have one term here plus another term here. What's common to both of these?
X plus 4.
So I'm going to write x plus 4 and I'm going to put it in parentheses. And I'm going to factor that out. So this divided by this whole thing divided by this would equal what?
2x plus 3. Yeah, 2x
So right, this is going to, I'm going to take this out, so I've got 2x squared here. I've got to put a parenthesis. Yes, that's right. 2x squared, and then I'm going to put a plus sign, and I'm going to take this away and put this here, 3. You see what I did?
Yeah.
So make sure you write it down, because you're going to have to see it. So I'm just factoring this out. So what I have left over, this times this has to equal this. This times that. Plus this times that would equal that. Right? Does that make sense?
And then
Are you with me?
if you foiled those two binomials, you'll get the top expression.
Yeah, exactly. If you foiled these two, you would go back to this whole thing without the parentheses. Okay? Is it clear? Okay, let's look what we did. I took my 4 terms. I grouped them in groups of 2, okay? And then I said, okay, factor out the greatest common factor. So you knew how, you're clear on that, right? Now you're clear on this, right? Okay, then I notice I have something common in these two, right? So I'm going to factor those out. If I factored those out, what would I have left? I'd have this still, and I'd have this still, right? That's what I did. I factor this out, get rid of these, and I just have 2x squared plus 3. That's all I'm doing. See what I'm saying? All right? This to 5. This to 5. I just want to see. This to 5. Let's do another one. Let's do one more. What time is it? Okay. We'll do one more. Can I race?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay, second one. We've got x cubed plus 7x squared plus 5x plus 35. Okay, so I'm going to do my same technique. I'm going to put my parentheses to group them. I'm going to leave that plus sign between the parentheses so that it doesn't look like I'm multiplying.
I haven't written it down yet. That's so sad.
All right. Got your parentheses in there? Factor out the greatest common factor out of this group of 2. So x squared, right, is the only thing I can take out of that one. So x squared times what is x cubed? It's just times x. 3 minus 2 is x to the 1. Plus, and then take the x squareds out, all I have left is 7. Plus, what can I take out of both of these? 5. Parenthesis, I have x plus 5 times 7 is 35. Oh, I have x plus 7 is common, right? In common with both those terms. So I'm now just going to factor out the x plus 7. X plus 7 parenthesis, and then I'm going to just have what's left over. This plus this. This plus this. So x squared plus 5. And I'm done. If I FOILed this out, it would be...
And then that's your answer.
That's my answer. I have factored, you have factored a 4-term polynomial. Okay? It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. All right, so practice it.
It looks a lot harder.
You have...
Yeah.
Yes, you have... I'm going to give you like 7 minutes to work on these. Okay?
After that.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually pass them out to the regular class, and I'm gonna say just a couple more things to the conceptual class. Is that okay? So the regular class gets started.
Serena, I'm mimicking in class. Actually, it's actually. No, it was
Gary, I'm regular with yours. Gary, you missed it. What? You missed it.
It's from the shop.
Oh, you were
there.
I was there. And there was the guy with the yellow hat.
Okay. So conceptual people. Okay, the regular people are quietly working. Right? They're doing these. But you guys, I want to just mention a couple more things.
Okay.
So far,
Gary used to make trick.
no, that is for everybody.
Oh.
But so far,
This is for the conceptual.
this is for the conceptual only. Okay.
Gary, you put the first problem on here.
You're right. You're right. So start with number 2,
Can we just finish the first
or just finish the first one. That's fine. So the 2 examples I just gave you. What was the sign after we grouped them and put them?
One is
Yes, right. I just said that. Right.
It was a plus, just a
That's fine. Just do a different one, right? Just start with number 2,
plus.
or you can do that one again as a practice, right?
It was plus.
The sign between those 2 groups was a plus. So now we're going to look at one with a minus. Okay?
We already did these.
You did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, did this conceptual class do
You
this?
just
Yeah.
hit, yeah.
With the
Can we do
conceptual
it now?
class, you
That
talked
wasn't
about
there.
the
Yeah.
and that affects the sign.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
like.
Okay.
Gary, can we
Then I'm
do
gonna
it?
great.
I
I don't
wasn't
have to
there.
teach it. Great.
No, Gary. No, Gary.